Hello and welcome to this month's Ascend App Mindset Masterclass. I am so excited and so grateful that you are here. The theme for today's masterclass is all about self-talk and reframing your self-talk. We're going to be talking about how the voice in your head is creating your reality. And I'm also going to explain the difference between reframing self-talk to rewiring self-talk as we go through today as well. And whether you realize it or not, your thoughts, your self talk, how you speak to yourself, and how you speak about yourself and your internal dialogue. So, the voice inside our head, inside our mind, is shaping our entire reality. And you may have heard the quote or the term, the words before that your words are spells and you're casting spells with the words you speak, with the language you use. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It couldn't be closer to the truth, is what I'm trying to say. It is so true. And you're going to understand that deeply by the end of today's masterclass. And we are really going to be diving into how your internal dialogue is shaping your identity, your nervous system, and ultimately the reality that you are living in, and how to actually shift it at a subconscious level in a way that creates real forwards momentum and change in your life. And I am just so excited that you're here. And the reason I created this masterclass for Ascend app is because it has been such a consistent theme coming up throughout my client coaching calls, in my psychic sessions lately, in my readings, in my healings, and it's even in conversations as well. And it's honestly like one of the biggest things keeping women, and not just women, any soul stuck in old patterns without them even realizing it. And I truly believe that this stuff should have been taught in schools. And unfortunately, it wasn't. And I truly believe that the world would be a different place if it was. But you're going to get to learn it here today. And before we do dive in, I also wanted to welcome in the new members inside Ascend, because we've got a lot of new faces here recently. And I'm just so very grateful and excited to have you here and a part of this community. And I've also decided, because I know just how freaking valuable and impactful this masterclass will be, I have decided that I'm going to give it away for free to my whole email list, which is over 400 of you, but just for a limited time only. So if that's you and you're listening to this right now, this masterclass will only be available for 7 days. After that, it gets locked up inside Ascend app. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know what Ascend app is, it is essentially a mindset, self-development, and holistic health membership for women who are ready to feel their best physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it is essentially an all-in-one wellness app, which is literally a portal into your next evolution. And it's designed to help you step into the happiest, healthiest, and highest version of you. And if you want to find out more about Ascend app or sign up, you can head straight to the link in my social media bio. You can find me on socials. My handle is SK Bodyworks, which you can see at the bottom there. Or you can go straight to my website, which is www.skbodyworks.com.au. And you can also use the code ASCEND50 for 50% off your first month inside Ascend. And that is only valid until the 16th of April. All right. So the outline for today, we are going to be speaking about what self-talk really is, to give you the not picture perfect, crystal clear understanding of exactly what it is. And then we're going to go into how your mind is protecting you, and essentially what you might call self-sabotage how it's not sabotage and it's actually a protection mechanism. So we're going to go into that. We're going to talk about the science behind how your self-talk creates your reality. We're also going to go into how you are, what you tell yourself, and why the words that you speak inside your mind are the most important things that you will ever reframe and essentially focus on, and why this is going to be the most important conversation today that you ever have in your life, because it has the potential to change your life. I'm going to be giving you my exact 6-step reframe process, so you walk away today knowing exactly how, having a step-by-step process, a step-by-step outline on how you can shift your self-talk so that you can start shifting the results you see in your life, or the results that you haven't been seeing in your life, right? We're going to also have some time for reflection. You're also going to have some journal prompts to take away from today as well. And I'm also going to go into why you are not stuck. Because if there is an incongruence or a misalignment between where you are now and where you want to be, I can guarantee you that it lies in the self-talk. And you're going to understand that exactly today. And then lastly, you're going to have action steps moving forwards so that you can rewire your self-talk and change your entire fucking reality. And before we dive right into this masterclass, this is something that every single one of us, including myself, I'm not superior to this, I am also human, struggle with to some degree, right? And the problem is most of us are completely unconscious to the words that we speak to ourselves and the voice in our head, the subtle thoughts that essentially run in the background of your day, right? And what is really important to understand is that this is not just thoughts. This is the lens that you experience your entire life through, because this is what shapes your identity, your behaviors, your decisions, and ultimately your reality. So if you have ever felt stuck, held back, limited, like you know what you want, but you just can't quite seem to get there, this is the missing piece that you have been missing. And like I just said, if there's a misalignment or an incongruence of the life you are currently living and the life that you desire to live, I can 1,000,000% abso-freaking-lutely guarantee you, if you shift your self-talk and your thoughts around this area of your life or this thing, you will shift your entire reality and the outcomes that you see in your life. And in today's masterclass, I'm going to be giving you the step-by-step process of exactly how to do it so that you can create real forward momentum and real change in your life. And like I said, this masterclass literally has the potential, like I just get so fucking passionate and excited when I speak about this, because it literally has the potential to change your freaking life. If you let it be something that you don't just listen to, but you also implement and integrate it into your life, because that is the real work. It's the small actions that you take consistently that compound and create big change and ripple on effects in your life, right? Like who you're being on a random Wednesday in the small moments is the work. It's not the big drastic things. While yes, you know, those big leaps and things are all really important. What is more important and what I care about more is who you're being on a random Wednesday, how you're showing up, right? Those small needle moving actions. And one of those is the self-talk, which we're going to be diving into. So literally in like just 3 weeks from now, you could notice such a shift in how you feel. In 3 months from now, you could notice a very fucking different feeling and results in your life. And like in 5 months, like you could have literally changed your life. And obviously that's just like a random timeline off the top of my head, and it could be even be sooner than that, depending on how consistent you are with using the reframe process. But that is literally what is possible when you don't just listen to today, but you actually take away the value and implement it and integrate it into your life, right? So let's dive in. So, what is self-talk really? So, essentially, self-talk obviously can be positive or even neutral, but it also can be negative. And that is where a lot of people get stuck with it. And our self talk is essentially the voice inside our mind, which we all have. It's like having that internal conversation with ourselves or speaking it out loud to ourselves. It's the thoughts that we have. It is obviously, quite literally, our self talk, how you speak to yourself or even about yourself, whether that is to yourself, to others in a conversation. That all counts as self-talk. It's like the language that you use, right? It's your internal dialogue. It can even be your external, like the dialogue, the words actually come out of your mouth as well. And essentially it's the narrative and the stories that you tell yourself, your internal narratives. And some people may have even coined this or call this like the inner critic. You've maybe heard of that before as well. And self-talk isn't always like this loud, obvious voice. It's often the subtle, quiet, quick voice. Just the passing thought that goes through your mind. And often it is unconscious. It is happening behind your conscious awareness. And I'm obviously going to be going more into the science of this so you can really understand that, because I know that's a hard concept to kind of grasp. And you might even be thinking right now, like, this doesn't really apply to me. Like, I already know this. Like, I'm so fine in that area. And like, I am here to tell you that no, you aren't. And I am saying that with so much love and compassion in my heart for you, because I want the absolute best for you. And I'm calling you out in hopes to call you up. And again, I want to say I'm not superior to this. I am human too, right? And I remember when I started my healing and, self-development journey years ago, I used to hear people talk about self-talk. And I always thought, I said to myself, I don't need that. Like, I'm positive, I'm good, I'm optimistic, like, I'm fine. But do you know the very thing that led me to the hardest and most challenging period and time of my life, when I hit extreme burnout to like literally the point of almost collapsing? It was the fucking voice inside my head. And that unconscious dialogue in our head, it's reinforcing like the exact patterns, emotions, behaviors, and results that you say you want to change, right? And like prior to my burnout, I would say to myself, I just want to slow down and, all of the things, have more time for me, more time for self-care. Yet the voice in my head wasn't congruent with those desires. It was conflicting that. And by me telling myself, like the voice in my head that wasn't supporting that vision that I had for myself was the exact thing keeping me stuck in those patterns, emotions, behaviors, and the life that I didn't feel fulfilled in, right? And it's just like, like the moments when you say that you want to change, right? It's like maybe you say, you maybe say like, I'll be consistent, I'll, start showing up for myself, but then you fall back into old patterns. Or maybe you tell yourself, you'll go get into a good routine, you'll get into bed early, you'll start journaling, you'll go to the gym again, you'll, feel good again. But then it becomes a story of like, I'll start again next week. Or maybe you say you want to feel calmer and you want to slow down and you want to, have more time for self-care and take care of yourself. But then you find yourself staying stuck in the same cycles of overwhelm, stress, and anxiety. And again, like another example, like you say you want more time, but then you keep putting more on your plate and repeating the cycle of always being busy, like you can't see an exit. And then you keep asking yourself, like, why does this keep happening? And it's so frustrating, right? Like, I've been there. And it's like, why do I keep doing this? Like, why can't I just follow through with what it is that I fucking say that I want to do? But what most people don't realize, this is not a motivation problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's not a, lack of willpower problem. Like, this is a self-talk problem. And that is exactly why I created this masterclass today. Like, the biggest form of suffering is not living the life you desire. And I want you to be here to be able to live the life that you truly desire, one that you feel immense gratitude and peace and happiness. And you wake up starting your day with energy and fuel, feeling excited for what's ahead in your day. You get to have that. And it all starts and stems from what goes on up here. And like this journey, like what I shared about like my journey and like burnout, like that was also like that challenging period of my time was I like to say it was a breakdown that led to a breakthrough. That's also what led me into the mindset space, and even more now into the spiritual space. And I truly do believe that everything happens for a reason. And the sooner that we can extract the lesson, and a lot of the time, what is within that lesson is like the self-talk. It's like, does our self-talk and how we speak to ourselves and the stories and narratives we tell ourselves, does that align with the vision that I have for myself, for my life? Does it align with what I want? And if not, like you're probably feeling some kind of misalignment, like something's missing in your life. And I can guarantee you, if you start to focus on your self talk, which you're going to have all of the tools, education, and knowledge on exactly how to do that today, you will change your fucking life. Apologies for my my F bombs. I'm not sorry, not sorry. Okay, so before we dive into how our self talk creates our reality, I want to invite you to shift your perspective on something first. And that is this: your mind is trying to protect you. Like our brain's biggest aim and job and goal is to keep us safe. And what you might call self sabotage is actually a protection mechanism. It is trying to keep you safe. And what once protected you is now, like maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 plus years later, is no longer serving you, right? Like, I'm going to give you some examples of this so you can really understand what I mean by that. Like, it might be, sorry, just give me a sec to have some water. It might be, the 7-year-old version of you who watched your parents stress about money, or like maybe you heard things like, we have to work really hard for money. So then your brain learned that safety equals working hard, overgiving, pushing yourself to exhaustion, right? And now, obviously that was 7-year-old you, but now, even though you desire ease, more money, more flow, to slow down, you still find yourself overworking, burning out, or feeling guilty when you slow down. And that is not because you are broken. That is because a younger version of you is still trying to protect you and keep you safe. That is what she learned, right? Or maybe it's like the 8-year-old or 10-year-old or, version of you who watched your mum criticize herself and her body in the mirror, right? Maybe you've seen her covering up all the time, picking herself apart, or, saying negative things about how she looked and putting herself down. So then your brain learned that your body is something to judge, and that being, quote unquote, good enough meant looking a certain way. Right? And like now, however many years later, even though you want to feel confident in your body, that's what you consciously want, unconsciously, you still criticize yourself, you still compare yourself, or you never quite feel good enough. And that is not a confidence issue. That is a protection pattern. And confidence comes from changing your self talk to shift the pattern at its core, at its root, right? Or I'm going to give you one more example. Maybe it's like the 13-year-old version of you, or the 15-year-old version, whatever. I'm trying to think of like school, however we were when we went to like high school. Like maybe it was the version of you in high school in year 7 who got laughed at or got judged or got made to feel, too much or not enough, right? So then your brain learned that being seen equals unsafe. And now as an adult, many, many years later, you want to go after what you want in life and you want to try new things or put yourself out there, but then you hesitate, you doubt yourself, or you talk yourself out of it, worrying about what others are going to think of you. So then procrastinate, you overthink, you stall, you hold yourself back, you second guess, and you overthink every single thing in your head. Like this and that is not self-sabotage. It is protection. It is trying to keep you safe. And when I say like your brain is trying to keep you safe, I do not necessarily mean it is like trying to give you the life you want. It is trying to keep you in what is familiar, even if it's causing pain. Like familiar can be stress, it could be burnout, it could be overthinking, it could be anxiety, it could be playing small, it could be people pleasing, right? Because your brain would rather choose a familiar pain, a familiar pattern, than risk an unfamiliar one because that feels unsafe to your brain and your nervous system, right? And the truth is, the thing that you say you hate, you actually unconsciously love. Like it is giving you something. It's giving you, maybe it's certainty or it's giving you control or it's giving you, a sense of safety, even if that's an illusion. Like it's giving you a reason to stay where you are, which means on some level you are unconsciously choosing it. And not because obviously you want to stay stuck, like no one wants to stay stuck, right? But because a part of you believes it is safer. So I really today want to invite you to shift your perspective on this. Self-talk is not the enemy. It is trying to protect you and keep you safe, and it reinforces your identity, which we're going to touch more on in a minute. And like your brain is not working against you, like it is always working for you, but it's working for the version of you that it currently knows. Again, the familiar. So if your identity is, I am not confident, I am always behind, I don't have time, like your internal dialogue will reflect that because it is trying to protect your identity. It's trying to keep you safe in the familiar, even if it's causing you pain, right? And this is why it is so important to be so mindful of what you feed your mind with and start getting your subconscious mind on board with the life that you actually desire, right? And that all starts with the words that we speak in our head or out loud, right? And something that I would also love to touch on, because so many women are so hard on themselves. They judge themselves, they shame themselves, they're their own worst enemy, and, they're highly critical towards themselves. And it is so important to meet yourself with so much love and compassion because you are and have been doing the absolute fucking best you can with the resources you have, right? And maybe no one told you just how important and how much of an impact your self-talk can have on your whole life. Or maybe you even did already, know or have some idea, but you need a reminder and the tools and resources to support you in shifting it. So, whenever you find yourself speaking harsh or negatively to yourself, I want you to acknowledge that voice and that younger or that past version of you and meet it with love and compassion. Because remember, it's just trying to protect you. But now you get to choose differently. You get to reframe and rewire a new way. And that voice in your head is not who you are, it is something you learned. And I am here to tell you and teach you exactly how to unlearn that and to create a life beyond what you ever thought possible, because it is possible when you shift your self-talk, right? It is honestly the most important conversation you will ever have. So, this is the chain reaction. We are unpacking how your thoughts create your beliefs, and how your beliefs create your identity, and how your identity creates your reality, and how they are all connected, and why what I just said, what you tell yourself, is the most important conversation you will ever have. And this is literally the chain reaction happening inside your mind without you even realizing it. And beliefs become a belief from a thought that was thought again and again and again and again, right? And that become a belief. And then your belief becomes your identity, and who you identify becomes your reality. And that is your lived experience and how you perceive yourself and how you move through your life, right? Like, let me give you an example of this. And I'm going to give you, when we go through this science, which we're just about to dive into, I'm going to give you some real concrete examples of this so you can see it in action, so it can land even deeper again, because you may even see yourself in that and be like, oh, fuck, that is me. Or, I didn't realize I was saying that. And like, I didn't realize the impact that the words that I've been saying to myself and, putting myself down, how that's been creating the life that I'm living and how I feel, right? So, let's just say you're someone who tells yourself you are not confident. Let's just go with that example. Like, you tell yourself that you're not confident, right? That's a thought that you have once, right? It doesn't become a belief or your reality if you think a thought once. But when you think that thought over and over and over again, maybe there's you're going out and you're putting on an outfit and you're like, oh, fuck, like I can't wear this. I'm not confident enough. I don't like my body, etc., etc. That thought gets ingrained again. And then other scenarios and situations, you reinforce it again and again. Your brain will start to then believe that to be true. It's not that it is the truth. You just believe it to be true because you thought it again and again and again, right? And then that becomes your identity. You then identify as someone who is not confident. And that becomes your lived experience and your reality. And you will literally attract experiences, places, people, things, opportunities that mirror that lack of confidence back to you. Like attracts like. If you feel and you are someone who is not confident, you are going to attract that back into your life. It is going to mirror that belief back to you, right? Like, that is the power of our self-talk and our thoughts. Like, it all starts with a thought alone, right? And let's now dive into your thoughts and how you speak to yourself, like how these things above like all else is the very thing, like I just said, that dictates your entire reality. And like, I want you to pause here for a moment and I want you to think about in your life. I want you to reflect on your life right now. And I want you to think of something that you often find yourself saying to yourself, or maybe you say this to yourself regularly, or maybe it's a belief that you have, like something that you commonly, regularly, often find yourself saying. I want you to just think about that for a moment. And just bringing something to mind. You might have a few come to mind, or maybe you just have one. And now I want you to think about that thought and your reality. I'm like 99.9% sure. Wait, let me say that again. I'm 99.9999999% sure that that thought that you regularly have is your reality. You feel that way in your reality, right? That thought is dictating the results you see in your life and how you feel. Like, really just let that land for a second. Like, that is the power of the mind and what we tell ourselves. Like, your thoughts literally have the power to shape your whole reality and the life that you live. So Just like the saying goes, you are what you eat. I used to always say that when I was working in the nutrition space. Like, you also are what you tell yourself, right? Now, let me dive into the science in a simple and easy to understand way behind how your thoughts create your reality. Obviously, you already know the chain reaction that's happening inside your mind, right? But I'm going to go a little bit deeper and explain and expand on some concepts. So let's start with the first point. So, neuroplasticity. Your brain has this fucking amazing ability called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself and change its structure and function based on what you repeatedly think, aka self talk in your thoughts, feel, or do. Like, let that land for a second. Like, the body, the brain is such an fucking intelligent piece of machinery, equipment, vessels, whatever we want to call it, right? Like, so every thought that you have and every thought that you think, it fires a network of neurons in your brain. And the more often you think that thought, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. Right? Like, let that land for a second. Like I said before, when you think a thought again and again and again, it then becomes a belief, right? You are literally creating these neural networks and pathways in your brain. And as the saying goes, neurons that fire together wire together. Your brain then becomes wired to live that way, to think that way, to feel that way, to do that way, right? So when you repeatedly think, like, I'm not good enough, or, I'm fucking shit at this, or whatever it might be, you literally strengthen that pathway, right? Making it easier for your brain to automatically default to it in the future. Like, when I say automatically, like, it becomes the autopilot program, meaning you don't even need to consciously thinking it. Like, this is like what I say when it's happening behind your conscious awareness, it's autopilot. And just like we can create a limiting thought pattern, which then becomes, like I said, a belief, aka a neural pathway in our brain, the good news is, like, we can also unlearn this belief and rewire a new, more empowering belief through repetition, right? Like, how fucking amazing is that? Like, let that be empowering and like evidence of it's possible to change my life. Like, what you think is impossible is possible if you believe it to be, right? So that's neuroplasticity. I'm going to talk about the RAS system, which is known as the reticular activating system. And we all obviously have this in our brain. It is essentially your brain's filter. It is a bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem, and it basically highlights information that matches what you already believe. So it filters based on belief, right? So if you believe I'm not confident, your RAS system, your reticular activating system, will literally filter your world to show you evidence and examples that prove it, right? And it's not that, let's just say if you have a belief that you can't do anything good enough, right? Like, it's not that you're not doing things well. It's just that your brain is ignoring those wins because they are there, but it doesn't filter it into your conscious awareness because it doesn't think it matters to your story. Like, this filtration system in our brain, our RAS system, essentially shows you more of what your brain deems to be important to you, aka what you focus on and what you believe, right? As I like to always say, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And your thoughts shape your perception, and your perception reinforces your thoughts. And what you perceive is what you believe, right? Like just let that land for a second. And evidence. So, obviously, I just touched on this evidence of like our brain literally finding us proof of evidence and reflecting that back to us. Like, so this evidence piece is related to our reticular activating system, right? The filtration system. But essentially, your brain will literally find evidence, like I said, that like confirms and reinforces your pre existing beliefs, right? So if you believe, let's say, I always mess things up, right? If you believe that, your brain will unconsciously, meaning you won't be aware of this is like automatically happening. Your brain will unconsciously focus on moments where you stumbled, where you fucked things up, where you made a mistake, you made the wrong decisions, or you like messed things up in your eyes, right? And it will literally ignore all the times that you did well. And it's not that you don't do things well. Your brain just doesn't bring this into your conscious awareness. It doesn't make it through the filter, right? Because you're not focusing on that. And like I said, based on like where your attention goes, your energy flows. And it isn't deeming those things as important to you. So it's not making it through the filter, right? And over time, like it creates a reality that matches your beliefs, right? Even if those beliefs aren't actually rooted in truth and they aren't actually true, right? And like, even to give you an example of this, and I love using this example when I talk about the reticular activating system because it's just one I feel everyone can resonate with. Think of a time when you were buying a car, right? Maybe you were buying like a second-hand car, or maybe you were buying a brand new car, right? Whatever car you were buying, you obviously had the make, model, and color in mind, right? You knew what car you wanted, what model, the make, the color, right? And all of a sudden, you then started to see that car all over the road. And you're like, holy fuck, there's so many of these cars starting to like appear. But like, they were always there before. They were always there. You didn't realize it. Your brain didn't show you that evidence because you weren't focusing on that, right? You only started to see those cars when you started to focus your attention on those cars because you're like, oh, I'm getting this car. Like, obviously, you're so excited and you're like, like I might go like this, top of the line or this one or this color or, whatever it might be, right? And it's like you started to really direct a lot of your life force and your energy and your focus towards that thing. So then your brain was like, oh, this must be important to her. I'm going to show her more of this. So it made it through the filtration system in your brain and it started to show you evidence of that. Like that is exactly the same as the beliefs you hold about yourself and about your life, right? Like the power of that is insane, right? And which leads me to the next point. Your beliefs drive your reality and your actions. Like when you believe something about yourself, you will then act in alignment with that belief, even if it limits you, right? So, like, for example, someone who believes I'm not a motivated person, they might like hit snooze repeatedly in the morning when they go to get up. They snooze their alarm. They might struggle to stick to routines. Maybe they, procrastinate and avoid important tasks. Or avoid setting goals altogether. Or maybe they compare themselves to others and feel like they're, constantly falling behind. Like, these actions reinforce the belief. Like that's the evidence, right? Which then further shapes the outcome of their reality. And not because it was true, but because they believed it was. And this is all like, I hope this is really landing and helping you understand why the words that we tell ourselves, like the impact that can have, right? And lastly, I'm going to touch on subconscious programming and our subconscious mind, our subconscious programs, it runs 90 fucking 6% of your day and your life, right? Like, meaning a huge percent of our day runs on autopilot behind your conscious awareness. It is this your that subconscious program driving your life, right? And I love the famous quote by Carl Jung, I don't know how you say his last name. Until you bring the unconscious conscious, it will continue to drive your life and you will call it fate. It is absolute truth. Until you bring what's unconscious to your conscious mind, it will continue driving your life. And you'll just think, oh, that's the way I am. Well, that's just the way things are. I'm never lucky. I never, I can't have that. I'm not someone who's able to do that, right? And we're going to go deeper into, like, obviously, like, our thoughts and how this all really aligns. And like, your thoughts aren't just thoughts. Like, they become neural pathways, subconscious programs, and essentially like the lens that you view the world through and how you see yourself, right? And the more that you repeat a thought, the more it becomes a belief and shapes your identity, which creates your reality and your lived experience. Like, your thoughts, your self-talk, and the narratives and the stories that you tell yourself are more impactful than you think, right? And like, I'm going to give an example as well that I love to give with our subconscious mind, right? And like I said, 96% is a huge fucking chunk of our life and our day, right? Like, our subconscious mind is driving it. So I want you to think about, and everyone's done this. If you haven't, like, you're just not admitting it. A time when you were driving in the car and, you're going somewhere where you've driven there many times. Like, maybe you're driving to work daily, right? Or like to pick up the kids from school or driving to the office or whatever it might be, right? You're driving and you all of a sudden get there and you're like, holy fuck, I don't even remember going around that roundabout. I don't remember going past the school. I don't remember going past the post office. Like, fuck, when did I even go past the shops? And you're like, shit, like, I just got here and like I didn't even remember half of it of how I got here, right? Like, we've all done that at some point, right? And I'm going to explain what happened there, because that is what I mean when your subconscious controls, like, the autopilot, right? You were on autopilot driving the car, right? You've done it. You've had a lot of repetition. You've done it a million, like, a lot of times. So you aren't using your conscious mind, right? But let's say the first time you got in the car, when you were learning to drive, when you were on your L plates, or if you drove before that, you got in the car and you're like, okay, got the hands on the steering wheel. Okay, that's the clutch, that's the brake, that's the accelerator. I've got my gears, first gear, second gear, I've got the handbrake. All right, driving on the road, it's like, oh fuck, I've got to change lanes. There's a car there. I've got to put my blinker on. I've got to make sure I turn properly. I've got to take it down a gear. Like, you're consciously thinking about all of this, right? Like, you've got a lot of conscious intention. Like, you're really thinking about it, right? But through repetition, like, you did it again and again and again and again. You got in the car, you drove again and again and again. Years later, weeks even later, it's already starting to ingrain. But like, years and years later, it's like, then you get in the car. And like I just said, you drive to work and you're like, fuck, how did I get here? Right? What happened was your subconscious mind was in the driver's seat. And I mean that both literally and metaphorically, right? Like, it was like it was driving the car, but it's driving your life. Your subconscious mind is driving the car of your life. 96% of it is autopilot, that automatic programming, the subconscious, right? And that is exactly what I say. And when I talk about awareness shortly, this is what I mean by, and like the example I gave earlier of like, I thought I used to be someone, I don't struggle with self-talk. Like, I'm fine. I'm positive, I wasn't fucking aware of it. And we all are unconscious to a lot in our lives. And until we bring that to our conscious mind, it will continue driving our life. The car example, right? Like, really just fucking let that land. Now, Here is exactly how it works. I'm going to give you a concrete example so it can really sink in, okay? So, first of all, you have the thought, right? And this is the example we're going to go with. I am not consistent. So, that is the thought. And then, come over here, we repeat that. Repetition. So you keep telling yourself this every single time you fall off track. You're like, fuck, I'm not consistent. I didn't do it again. Right? And then that creates an emotion. So you feel defeated, you feel disappointed, or, you just feel like you're always letting yourself down. Right? And it's like the emotion also concretes that neural pathway, like a heightened emotion like literally makes that neural pathway sink in deeper, right? And then the next step, it's like we have the thought, we repeat that, which produces an emotion, and then it becomes the belief, through that repetition, it becomes the belief. So your brain starts to literally lock it in as a belief. It's true, it's absolute truth to you. You think that I can't, you're like, I just can't stick to anything. It's the program that your subconscious mind runs 96% of the time, right? And then you then begin it begins to become your identity. So you begin to see yourself as someone who lacks discipline or who lacks follow through, right? And then your identity creates your reality. Like you literally stop trying. Like you give up before you even start or before you fully commit to something, or you give up early, or you avoid setting goals altogether. Like it becomes your lived experience, right? And I'm going to give you another example of this, right? Like, let's use the example of I'm not confident. It's like you have the thought, I'm not confident, right? And you repeat that. So you keep telling yourself every time you look at yourself in the mirror, every time you go to meet someone new, or you go to the beach, or a social outing, you reinforce this. You tell yourself again, I'm not confident. That then creates an emotion. You feel down, you feel, sad, you feel defeated, you feel self-conscious, right? And it reinforces that, right? And then you believe it to be true. You start to lock this in as truth. And your subconscious, it's the autopilot program. So the next time you get invited to an event, which is a beach party, straight away, without you consciously thinking about it, your mind already goes there. It's the automatic program. Oh, I'm not confident. What am I going to wear? I have nothing to wear. And then you freak out and you feel anxious because of, the emotion it produces. And then, again, it starts to create an identity. You start to identify as someone who is not confident, right? And that becomes your reality. I hope this is really landing. Like, let's give you another example of this. Like, let's use, I don't have time. Let's use this thought, right? And I feel like so many women, especially through the work that I do, can really relate with this. Like the thought is, I don't have time. So that's the thought, the repetition. You keep telling yourself this when you keep stacking expectation upon expectation and more on your plate, which reinforces, fuck, I don't have time. And you keep saying that to yourself, right? And then that creates an emotion. You feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, you feel chaos, which then becomes a belief, which starts to become the automatic program, which you then identify as someone who is always busy, who does not have time, who, cannot slow down, all of those things. And then it becomes your reality. Like you literally attract situations, circumstances, things in your calendar from like people, places, opportunities that reflect and mirror that back to you, that you do not have time, that you cannot catch a break, right? I'm going to give you one more example. Let's say the thought is like, I'm always behind. Maybe it's like you just feel like you're so busy and you have so much to do and you have to always catch up. Or maybe you feel like you're behind in the sense of like, everyone else like has got their shit together, they're married, they have kids, and you're really comparing yourself, right? It's like you feel behind in life. It's like repetition. Every time you feel that way, the evidence, your filtration system is bringing you this evidence. It reinforces that. Like you repeat that thought, I am behind, right? And then you get an emotion. Maybe you feel anxious. Maybe you feel like you're not enough, or you don't feel worthy, or you feel, burnt out, whatever it might be. It then reinforces that belief. It becomes the automatic program that, whenever you have a situation where it reflects it back, it's like, again, you don't consciously think about it. That's the automatic program that happens behind your conscious awareness, which then creates, obviously through time, your identity. You start identifying as someone who is always behind. You have so much to do. You have to catch up, or, you need to find the perfect partner, or buy the house, or whatever it might be. And again, it creates your reality. It becomes your lived experience, that endless rat race, constant loop of doing, because you're always trying to catch up because you feel so behind, right? And it's not that you ever believed it was true. It's that your brain believed it was. Through that repetition, you cemented those neural networks, those neural pathways in your brain. But the good news is, if you can wire yourself into a negative loop, you can also rewire yourself into a positive and more empowering one. Like, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about neuroplasticity, our brain's amazing ability to literally rewire itself, right? And I'm going to even share with you a client, maybe two client examples, to really just show you like what's possible when you start shifting your self-talk, right? Like, so one of my clients came to me, and when she came to me, she was unable to even accept compliments, like, let alone speak kindly to herself. Like, her identity was wrapped up in, I'm not confident and I don't like who I am. I look disgusting. I'm self-conscious, right? Like, that's the story that it was. And fast forward, obviously, through our coaching work together, and also obviously during that work, focusing on her self-talk, because we know how much that impacts our reality, she now compliments herself daily. She believes those compliments, and she's able to even accept compliments from others instead of, like she used to, just deflect them off. And she shows up as her true, authentic self in ways that she did not even think possible, because she wasn't confident. She was scared of what other people thought of her. She was worried that she'd be judged, and she was judging herself, right? Like, she didn't think this transformation was even available to her. But by shifting the thoughts, which is where it all stemmed from, the beliefs and the identity, she created a completely new reality, right? And like, to give you even another client example, a previous client who I was working with, when we started working together, she literally claimed to be like just a very anxious person. Like, the first thing she said to me when we got on our first initial call was like, I have anxiety. She had a constant loop of self-talk that said, I'm an anxious person. I have anxiety. I'm always anxious, right? And of course, like, that repetitive inner dialogue kept her nervous. It created her reality. It kept her nervous system stuck in fight or flight, which made the anxiety feel like a part of her identity. And obviously, through our work together, like unraveling her self-talk, clearing limiting beliefs, creating new beliefs, clearing past traumas, negative emotions, and essentially rewiring her subconscious patterns, she shifted completely. Like, she no longer identifies as an anxious person. Like, she actually recognizes that those anxious thoughts were simply conditioned stories, like not her truth. And now she lives without that constant anxiety. Like, she actually feels grounded in her body, and she's able to approach challenges in her life with ease and calm and confidence. And, what used to feel overwhelming is now something she can meet with peace and presence. And like, if you're there right now, like, oh, she did that, but I can't do that. Like, she didn't she almost gave up before she even tried. She is a busy full-time working mom with kids, with needs, special needs. And she literally sent me, it's probably gonna make me get emotional. She sent me a message over the weekend, which is also why I felt like I had to share this. But she literally sent me a message over the weekend and she's like, because we don't work, like we previously worked together, and she messaged me and she's like, oh my God, I felt like I had to tell you, like I needed to reach out and tell you, like, guess what? And I was like, oh my God, like, what? Tell me. And before I tell you what it is, when we were on our initial free coaching call and we are kind of just exploring coaching, seeing if she was a good fit for it, she said to me, like, obviously there was that story of like, I have anxiety, I'm an anxious person, I'm an anxious wreck. She's like, my husband wants to go away overseas on a holiday, but she's like, I can't do it. I'm too anxious. Like I'm a nervous wreck. I, can't even get out of the house and go to social events or any of these things because I'm so anxious. Like it's controlling my life. And she's like, I could never see myself, like I don't want to go overseas. I could never see myself doing that. And the message she sent me on the weekend, she fucking booked a plane ticket and a holiday overseas. And she said, this is going to make me emotional. It's like, I never thought that I could do this. I never thought that this reality was possible for me. Like I'm literally getting tearing up talking about this. But this is the power of self-talk and what you tell yourself. And when you shift that, you can shift your whole life. Like I'm telling you this to give you evidence, right? Because you can do it too. And, whilst we're even talking about anxiety, because I feel like that is such a big topic, like anxiety is not something that you have. It is something that you create yourself through your self-talk, right? Anxiety is simply an emotion. It is something that you experience, just like joy, just like happiness, just like gratitude. And obviously, we don't walk around like being like, I am happiness or like I have happiness, right? Like we don't do that. And obviously the story and the self-talk of like, I have anxiety, I'm an anxious person, that creates the identity, which creates the reality, right? And like the science says, an emotion, which emotion is energy in motion, only lasts 90 seconds. Yes, I said it, 90 seconds. An emotion lasts for only 90 seconds. But you know what makes anxiety feel debilitating and permanent and constant, aka a lot fucking longer than 90 seconds? The way that you speak to yourself, the voice in your head and the stories you tell yourself. Because what you say, what you think determines how you feel, which determines what you do and the choices you do or don't make, right? That is what is dictating your life, right? And I am going to give you one more example to let this really land. And like, again, just like I said before, you are what you eat, you also are what you tell yourself. And I'm sure that by now you have a really good understanding of that, right? And to let this land even, like I said, a notch deeper again, I'm going to give you an example in my life. Like for the longest time, I told myself, like, I am not, and hence why I've got the book there. Like I told myself, I'm not a good reader. I can't read. I'm shit at reading, right? And that was something, like I said, I thought that thought obviously again and again. That was something I believed about myself. So then every time I tried to read, I would already, literally before I even pick up a book, feel resistance. Like I would just feel that internal resistance. Like I would struggle to focus. I would be thinking about other things that I have to do. I would read a page and then, I'd fully fucking forget what I just read. I'm sure we've all done that at some point though. And every time like I planned to read, I would self-sabotage, right? I would reinforce that story. And then I would be like, see, I'm not a good reader. I can't read. I'm shit at reading. AKA the evidence that then reinforces that, right, but it was never the truth. It was just the repetition of the thought that created the experience, right? And this belief became an identity. Like I identified as someone who could not read well. Like my brain was trying to keep me safe by matching the identity that I had for myself, right? And like literally, I was like, I am going to, because I knew I was going to give this example today. I was like, I'm going to get out the first book that I ever tried to read, and keyword tried to read. And to my defense, it's a pretty fucking thick book, if you can see, to read. It's called Seize the Yay, not the day, but the Yay, by Sarah Davidson. And I tried to read this book. And obviously, you know what the story was. I can't read. I'm not a good reader. I'm shit at reading. I would constantly self-sabotage. And a year and a half, like in a year and a half, that's what it took me to try to read this book, a year and a half, and I still didn't finish it. Right? But the moment I started shifting that internal narrative, obviously not overnight, but through repetition, my experience started to change. Like, because we don't just experience reality, we experience the meaning we attach to it, which comes through our self talk and the stories and narratives we tell ourselves, right? Sorry, I just coughed my gut. And you know what? The year after that, when I couldn't even read one book in a year and a half, when I was really trying, like I was trying, the year after that, I read eight and a half, like almost nine books in 1 year. I went from not even being able to read one book to almost 10xing that. And this is the power of what you tell yourself. Like, obviously, that's just an example of a book and reading, right? But, like, you know, since reading, like, I've gained so much from reading, like, knowledge and, like, it's the power of what we tell ourselves is so important. So, I am going to be giving you my 6-step reframe process. So, this is the exact method that I give to my one on one clients and that I also apply to my own life. And if you do this process, I can guarantee you it will literally change your life, right? Like, I've given a lot of guarantees in this masterclass, but I am so confident in those guarantees, right? And I'm going to share this reframe process with you now. And even if you want to take a screenshot of it so you can have it handy in the moments when you need it, you can. But ultimately, the more you do this reframe process, like the more natural it will become. And you'll know exactly what to do when you notice this limiting or negative self-talk come up, right? It's just the same like the car example. The first time you got in the car, you had to really think about it. Like you had to, you know, stop yourself and be like, okay, I'm going right lane. It's the, you know, blinker, whatever. I drive a European car. So it's like the other way. So I can't remember even which way normal blinker is. Right? Through repetition. See what I mean? Literally evidence, more evidence. But yeah, ultimately, the more you do this, you're just gonna be able to know this process off the back of your hand, right? You're not gonna have to really think about it each time, okay? So if you want to take a screenshot of this, like I said, feel free to. You can put it as your background if you want to. You can print it out, put it on your wall, whatever you need to do, right, to remember it. And I should actually even give it a acronym. I'm going to do that. Anyways, not today, but so this is the 6-step reframe process to rewire. And when I say reframe and rewire, reframe means putting something from this frame into another frame. It's almost like in a new light, in a new photo frame, right? Rewire is like the neural pathways, right? It's like in our brain, we've got one neural pathway. And when we rewire it through that repetition, we put it from this frame to this frame again and again and again and again and again and again. And what happens is it rewires it, right? It creates a new neural network, which makes it the automatic program, right? You guys are going to be able to go and give other people, your friends, your family, and everyone like a masterclass on this after listening to this. Okay, we're going to go through this 6-step process. Firstly, I'm going to tell you what the 6 steps are, and then we're going to dive deeper into each one. And this process is gold. Like, if you need to listen to this a couple of times to let it sink in this masterclass as a whole, like, do so, right? Number 1, awareness. Step 2 is interrupt the pattern. Step 3 is reframe. Step 4 is repetition. Step 5 is collect evidence. We know the power of evidence. Step 6 is anchor the new identity. Okay? So let's start at step 1. Awareness. So awareness is noticing your default self-talk. Like, write it down without judgment and, catch yourself in the moment when you say something that's not supportive, that's limiting or negative. Like, really just start becoming aware of the things that you tell yourself, right? And the more that you start paying attention, like literally, the more that you start paying attention, the more you will create this self-awareness. By doing this, we're bringing the unconscious conscious, right? And this first step is the most important step. I want to make that really, really clear. You cannot do this process by skipping this part, by skipping this step, because you cannot change something that you are not aware of, right? And remember, 96% of our thoughts are unconscious. So you are not even aware of them. So you need to become conscious of the self-talk, the narratives, the stories that you tell yourself in order to be able to change them, right? And I also want to really say, becoming more self-aware is not always easy because we're becoming more aware of how we're treating ourselves, the things we're telling ourselves, how we're speaking about ourselves. And it's not always easy to recognize that and be like, fuck, like I'm doing this to myself and this is creating my reality. And like, I am saying this because I have fucking been there. Like, I remember sitting in this chair on a coaching call with my coach at the time in fucking tears, bawling my eyes out because I had this aha moment, this realization of like, holy fuck, this awareness, this self-awareness of how I'm speaking to myself and, the actions and blah, blah, blah is creating my reality. And it was fucking hard to see. And it is not always easy, but it is the absolute catalyst to change. Like I said earlier, I truly believe our breakdowns can lead us to the fucking biggest breakthroughs if we let it, right? So I just wanted to really preface that, like, that awareness piece is so important, right? Step 2, interrupt the pattern. And again, if we don't have the awareness, we can't interrupt the pattern, right? So we need to interrupt the pattern. So when you notice, step 1, you have the awareness, you have a thought come up. I'm not consistent, right? Let's use that. I never do what I say I'm going to do. You've lost this lack, you have this lack of self-trust because you've never been able to consistently follow through, right? So when you notice yourself not follow through on something and you tell yourself, fuck, I did it again. I can't follow through on what I say I'm going to do. In that moment, you interrupt the pattern, right? And you can do this in literally any way, but I'm going to give you some examples of what I give my clients. So you could literally have a hair tie or a bracelet on your wrist that you flick, like I'm doing with my bracelet now. Like that could be the pattern interrupt, or you could imagine a red light in your head, like in your mind's eye. You can just visualize a red light or a stop sign. Or you could even with your hands, like do the hand gesture of like stop. Like you could even say to yourself, stop, Shanae, or like stop, stop, stop. Obviously, if you're in public and you're like standing there talking to yourself, going, stop, 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 Shanae, like maybe that's not the most suitable. I mean, you do you, but ultimately you want to find something that works for you. It could even be like, you just touch your necklace, or it could literally be anything. I want you to find something, whether it's one of those. I find the stop sign, visualizing the stop sign in my mind's eye most helpful, because it's just like stop. And if I'm by myself, I would kind of do the hand gestures as well and say to myself in my head, stop, right? So right now, I want you to decide, what is it going to be? Pick one thing and stick to that each time, right? Pick one thing. And ultimately, what this step is doing, like the interrupting the pattern, it is stopping the old neural pathway from firing in your brain. You are literally breaking the synaptic connections of that old neural pathway in the brain each time you do this. You're stopping literally like what is happening, like from a scientific point of view, you're literally stopping like the energy, the electrical charge firing down that neural pathway. That, you notice the thought, fuck, I'm not consistent. I can't do, like I did it again. You interrupt the pattern. It's stopping the electrical charge going down that neural pathway. And this is the work of neuroplasticity that we spoke about earlier, right? And then what happens is we're going straight on to step 3, which is reframe, which is ultimately going to be sending it down a new neural pathway, right? So, and we'll get to step 4 in a second, because this part is really important in order to cement and create that new neural pathway, but reframe. So when you catch yourself saying something obviously limiting, negative, or not supportive, you need to reframe it into a more positive, empowering, and better serving thought, right? So again, for example, if you're saying something like, I'm not consistent, reframe it to, I am becoming more consistent every single day. Or I'm learning to follow through on what matters to me, on what's important to me. And like eventually, I am consistent. And like you might not start there, because if you're like if right now what you believe is I'm not consistent, and you're, noticing it, you're stopping yourself in that moment, interrupting the pattern, and you're like, I am consistent. It's like, it's a pretty big jump from there to there. And it's going to be like, you're going to be like you're not going to be able to get on board with it. Like if it's something that's so far ahead of a jump that you can't get on board with, and you're like, that is not true at all. Meet yourself where you are, right? And again, it could be something like, it could just be as simple as, I'm learning to X, Y, Z. If it's like the consistent example, I'm learning to believe I'm someone who is consistent and follows through with what they say they're going to do. It could be, I'm learning to believe that I am someone who has so much free time. I am learning to become confident in myself and my skin. I'm giving myself evidence every day, right? Like meet yourself where you are. And through that repetition, like that's going to be an easy, like you're going to be on board with that. So it's like, then you can go that step further, right? So again, we need to reframe, and we need to do this, put it from this frame to this frame again and again and again in order to rewire it. So we need step 4, repetition. Consistency is key. And here we are talking about the belief of I'm not consistent, right? This is the power of consistency and what we tell ourselves. So consistency is key. So the more that you repeat the new thought, the better serving, the positive thought, right? The stronger the neural pathway becomes. And our subconscious mind loves repetition. Like it's just like the idea of like, we can't just go, I mean, it'd be nice, but like we can't just go to the gym once and be like strong and fit, right? It doesn't work that way. Like you have to put in the reps to get the outcome. Yeah. So like same as our self-talk and this process, you can't tell yourself once I'm good enough or I'm consistent and actually believe it. You have to repeat it again and again and again for it to cement as a belief and become the automatic program, which then becomes your identity and your reality, right? And there was something I was actually just going to say off the back of that, and I completely just shot out of my mind. That's okay. It might come back to me. But yeah, even to give like an example of this as well, to let this land again. I want you to imagine right now that you are at a I was on a client call the other day and I actually said this. I used to think this was a B intersection, but it's actually a Y intersection. So imagine yourself. she's she was like, that's not a V. Like, what's that? Anyway, so it's a Y intersection. I want you to imagine yourself standing at the edge of a Y intersection, right? So you've got two paths, two roads in front of you. You've got a road to the left and to the right. I want you to imagine that to the left, it's actually a bush track. Like you've got to your left and right. It's not a road, it's actually a bush track. Okay? So you've got a bush track to your left and your right. The one on the left is like you've walked this bush track a million fucking times. Like it's, it's well worn in, like, it's all dirt, like it's all nice and cleared away, like there's no overhanging trees or anything like that, right? The grass is all, to the sides. You can easily walk down there, right? Without being scratched and things like that, okay? The path to the right is a bush track, but it's one that hasn't really been walked a lot, right? So there's like overhanging trees, like the bush is all overhanging, the grass is really long, like there's barely even a track, like you're having to like really like, weave into like to literally climb through up and down things to get through, right? And even, yeah, it's hard to even get through, right? Because there's no track there, like it's not been walked before, right? So this is literally what is happening in your brain when you are, like I said before, you're having the awareness, and what the pattern interrupt is doing is that's you standing at that Y intersection and you're going, hang on, do I want to walk this path to the left that I've walked again and again and again? AKA, do I want to tell myself that I'm not consistent, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and walk that path that I've walked a million times? And it's easy, it's automatic, I don't need to think about it. It's like there's a track there. It's easy to walk. Or do I want to reframe this and do I want to walk this new path? Even though initially it's going to be a little bit hard because all the bushes are overhanging, the grass is long, you've got to like weave your way on in through, and there's resistance. It's, you've got to duck and get scratched by the leaves and, all the things, right? That is literally what's happening. And like the more times that you choose to walk that, path that you haven't walked a lot and reframe that thought, I am good enough, I'm worthy, like I am enough, I am capable of this opportunity, like the positive, more serving thought, the more times you walk down that bush track, the more worn in it becomes through repetition again and again and again. It then starts to become the easy, right? Like, the grass like gets trimmed down. It's like there's no hanging bushes. And it's like the more that you do that, that becomes easier, more familiar. And it's like the old bush track to the left, like that one's starting to get all overgrown. The grass is getting long, the trees are overhanging on that one because you haven't been walking down that every single time, right? The electricity hasn't been running down that neural pathway because you've stopped yourself at that Y intersection. You've interrupted the pattern. You've told yourself stopped. You've flicked your hair tie or your bracelet and you've reframed the thought. So you've chosen to turn right this time and go down this bush track and tell yourself, remind yourself, I'm learning to believe I am good enough. I am capable. I am consistent, whatever it might be, right? Like that is exactly what this reframe process is doing in your mind. Like to give you that visual example, I find helps it really land even deeper again, but that is the power of it, right? And now we're going to go into step 5. I literally planned to be like, I knew I wasn't going to be an hour for this masterclass because I just kept like adding more and more because I was like, oh my God, there's just so much good stuff to talk about. And this is like just one topic. Like there's, yeah, anyways. Number 5, collect evidence. So keep an evidence log or a proof list, a proof bank, a wins list, or whatever you want to call it. Like, this is where you note every single time you did follow through, you did show up, you did prove yourself wrong, you write it down. You collect this evidence because this will reinforce the new belief. For that, the bush track to the right side, it's going to reinforce this belief, this track, right? So then that becomes the automatic track, right? And what you focus on, as we know, expands your RAS system, your reticular activating system, will start to filter more of this evidence into your conscious mind, into your conscious awareness, right? It's making it through the filter, helping you then reinforce this belief and turn and essentially shift your lived experience and reality, right? So collecting the evidence, having the wins list, proof bank, whatever you want to call it, you could literally have this like a notes on your phone using the notes app, or you could have a physical journal where you write it. I used to do it that way, but then I found like when I don't have my journal on me, it's like, I'll do it later. Later never came. So I moved it to my phone in a Notion template, and I find that just is really helpful. Like, you could literally just be as simple as, like, I've created a table and things, but it could literally just be as simple as wins, dates, wins, right? You're writing down the wins or the evidence. You're collecting the evidence that reinforces the new belief, right? And that could literally be, let's say it's, I'm not consistent. So that's obviously the old belief. The new belief is like, you're learning to become someone who is consistent every day. And, you get up that morning to your alarm clock when you previously believed you were not consistent. That's evidence, right? You did it 2 days in a row. That's evidence. You're learning, you're starting to be consistent. Write that in your evidence log. You get to the gym when you previously would always say you would go, but then you would not. It's like, write that evidence down. Like, whatever the evidence is that supports that new belief, write it down, okay? Because then your brain is going to literally start to filter more of this evidence into your conscious awareness, because what you focus on expands, okay? And then finally, number 6 is anchor the new identity. So instead of, I'm not a confident person, shift it to, I'm someone who's building confidence, right? Again, meet yourself where you're at. But like, identity statements are I am statements. If you catch yourself saying anything as, I am not a good reader, for example, I am a high achiever, I am always busy, I am not confident, I am making a song out of this, you get the idea. When you're saying that, that is an identity statement. You believe, that's, you identify as that, right? And identity work changes everything. So the anchoring it into the new identity, I'm going to give you an action step which is going to support you with this today. But ultimately, it's like, the reframe that you're giving yourself. So I'm not consistent, for example, you're reframing that to like, I'm learning to be someone who's consistent. Again, the example that I just gave you, it's like, I am someone who's building confidence. That's what you want to anchor the new identity as, right? And like I said, identity work changes everything. And now I want to make this really clear. You are not going to catch every single limiting thought you have, nor should you ever expect yourself to. And I can't remember the numbers of the exact science, but like, I think it's like we have like, I don't know, somewhere between like 60,000 and 78, was it 60,000 to 100,000? I don't know, something like that. 1,000 thoughts a day. Again, this is what I mean by unconscious. Like, we don't know we have that many thoughts a day because they're all happening unconsciously, right? Like, so you are not going to catch every single thought, right? But this is a game of repetition and consistency. It is something that you do. It is not something that you do just once and then never again because you've like achieved it. Like, it's part of your continual evolution. like in this thing we call life, right? Like we're continually evolving, like which you'll do for the rest of your life. This process is a tool that you can use forever until you are no longer here, right? And yes, of course, you'll find like you'll grow and evolve. And, as you do, yes, your self talk will as well. But it's just like the gym example. It's like you don't just go once and then you become fit and strong, right? And it's the same as like, you achieve that goal. It's like you get consistent at it, you go to the gym and you're like, fuck yeah, like, I'm killing this. Like I've gotten so much stronger. I can lift whatever kilo weight. I can run this far. I'm, so much fitter. Don't get out of breath as much. But it's like you don't get there and go, okay, I've done it. I'm never going to go again. And then expect to still be someone who's fit and strong if you're not doing the action. It's that is exactly what I'm talking about with this process and your self-talk. It is a continual evolution, something that you should always be doing. There is no end game. Like this is the journey. This is the work. And I like to say like every new level comes with a new devil. And that's not in a way of like, oh, like there's always challenges or like things that I have to face. It's like life is happening for us. It gives us these situations and circumstances and initiations to help us grow into a even more expanded version of ourselves, right? Like we came to earth to grow, right? And evolve as a soul. So yeah, anyways, I'm getting a little bit off track there. So lastly, in terms of this 6-step reframe process, before we keep moving on, which we are almost there, steps 1 through to 4. So awareness, interrupting the pattern, reframe, repetition. You are essentially going to be doing these 4 steps pretty much every time you notice a limiting negative self-talk, right? Thought, whatever, right? Maybe even say it in a conversation out loud and you're speaking to someone, you're like, oh, actually, no, actually, I should, you could literally say, I did Shanae's masterclass from Ascend app and I am, focusing on my self-talk. I am actually learning now to believe someone that's XYZ, right? Whatever it is. So steps 1 to 4, you would do pretty much any time that you have that awareness around something negative, self-talk, etc. Okay. Steps 5 and 6, I do not want you to do this every single time you have a thought. You will not have the capacity to. I want you to only do step 5 and step 6 for one thought or narrative at a time. So this is like collecting evidence, you writing down, the things in your evidence log on your phone or in your journal, right? And reinforcing, anchoring that new identity with the I am statements, right? This is only 5 and 6 is only for one thing at a time. Okay. I'm going to expand on that in a second. So let me move on. I want you to actually take a moment now to really just take a moment to reflect in your own life. And I want you to ask yourself right now, not what's on the screen, because there's some prompts that you're going to take away with today, but I want you to just ask yourself right now, like, what is one thought that I have been repeating about myself that I am ready to let go of? I'm ready to release. I'm ready to no longer carry this. Just think about that for a second. One thought that you've been repeating about yourself that you're ready to let go of. And when you've identified that, that is the thought, the narrative, the story, whatever we want to call it, the self-talk, it's all the same. That is the story that we want to use for, let me go back for a second, step 5 and 6, just that one, right? Because that's obviously the most prominent one for you at this point in time. So we're just going to be using the one that's like most prominent, that's coming up quite a lot for you in your daily life. And you're going to just do steps 5 and 6 for that one, okay? Obviously, as you build your capacity with this process, you're going to build, you might be able to do 2 at a time, maybe 3 at a time, and that's perfect. But I just want you to start with 1, okay? And obviously, as you start to really shift that, it's like, and really cement that in as a new identity. It's like, okay, let's pick a new one that I've been noticing myself really saying. It's been really coming into my awareness, right? So that's the one that I want you to focus on. And these are some journal prompts that you can essentially take away and sit with. And I'm just going to read over them. If you want to screenshot this, feel free to. But the first journal prompt is, what's one disempowering story I've been telling myself on repeat? The second prompt is, how can I reframe it into something more empowering? And you're going to list 4 to 5 affirmations or mantras. Right? The next prompt is, if this new belief was already my truth and I believed it to be true, who would I identify as and how would I see myself? The next prompt is, what are 3 to 4 identity statements or I am statements that support this new identity I am stepping into? Right? So that's what I was saying about like step 6. This process is going to help you identify that. And then lastly, which I'm going to come to action steps in a minute, but you can start here if you want to. What is one small keyword, aligned action I can take today that reflects this version of me? Right? So like I said, take a screenshot of this if you want to. This will really help you identify, like, again, for steps 5 and 6, what are you creating, the evidence log for? Like, what are you specifically going to be collecting your evidence for? And it's going to be for this one disempowering self-talk thought and narrative that you are seeing come up again and again in your life, okay? And these prompts you can come back to again and again and again, right? Like when you, again, like master this and you're like, oh, I'm really feeling confident, like I've really shifted my identity and beliefs with this. Choose a new story that's been really coming up for you and go through this process. So you can, again, use this for the step 5 and 6, because steps 1 to 4, you're going to be doing, pretty much anytime you have any belief come up, like negative, self-talk come up. And then lastly, I just want to say, like, this is going to make it as, like, actually taking away and sitting with these journal prompts is going to make it as easy as possible for you to use the reframe process. So like when you're literally, if I go back for a second, when you're at step 3 here and you're reframing, if right now you're like, let's say, I don't have time, and you're like, you literally can't even see what it is that you do want. You can't see the positive side of it. And you're like, fuck, like, what do I reframe it to? Like, because if you're like, I don't have time, like I do have time, you're like, fuck, I don't believe that. Like, it's too far of a jump. This process is going to help you identify. And step 2, how can I reframe it into something more empowering? You're going to literally write, even use, if you need to use ChatGPT for this, use it and ask, can you please give me, like, currently I believe this is a story I've been telling myself. Can you please, and I really want this, can you please give me 4 to 5 affirmations or mantras that I can use to rewire this? Right? You can literally just say like 5 affirmations for more time, right? That's going to help you in those moments. You could literally then put it as your screensaver on your phone, or you could have it written on your mirror or next to your bed or your bedside table, so you read it before you go to bed or whatever it might be. Make it as easy as possible so it's easily accessible. So when you have that thought that comes up really frequently, I don't have time, you can pick up your phone right here and be like, okay, interrupt the pattern, flick the hair tie, and reframe it. You're going to read the better serving thought, the affirmation that you've got written on your phone, right? I'm learning to believe that I have time. I'm learning to make better use of my time and prioritize what's important to me, right? Whatever the affirmations are. Obviously, you only need one in that moment. But that's going to really give you, some things to work with to make it as easy as possible for you to use that reframe process. And of course, the identity statements, and you want to be reinforcing this as your identity. You want to wake up in the morning and tell yourself in the mirror, I am learning to become someone who is confident. And you tell yourself that again and again. It's going to start becoming a part of your identity, especially when you're reframing and you're finding evidence of it. You are literally going to create a whole new version of you. Like, this is the power and transformation this reframe process can give you. Like, it is powerful. I use it for myself. I give it to my one-on-one clients, and you as an Ascend member, are getting this, right? And it is powerful. Okay, so these are your action steps moving forwards to support you in shifting your self-talk so you can shift your life and create a life you actually enjoy and feel good inside, right? Because what is it all for if we can't enjoy it? And so the action steps. Number one is reflect and journal on the prompts. So the previous slide, obviously just taking some time at some point, I would recommend sooner rather than later so it doesn't slip your mind, or schedule it in your calendar. Just set aside 10 minutes to sit with these prompts, right? And then number two is just starting to build awareness, right? Write down your negative or limiting thoughts and self-talk. So whether you want to do this in your notes app, you have, a paper next to you while you're at work on your desk, or you have it in the kitchen, or you, write it in your notes, whatever you need to do, really starting to become aware of it and write it down. And I can guarantee you, if you don't write it down, you will forget. You'll try and remember it later and you won't remember. I've done it a million times. My clients do it. Write it down. Okay. And I just want to pause here for a moment, because if this is the only thing that you do from this masterclass today, you start to become aware of and you write down your thoughts that you previously weren't aware of, that is a fucking win. Like, I want you to celebrate yourself for this, because you're doing something that a previous version of you wasn't even aware of, right? You're choosing differently. Like, you're choosing to become awareness and not run on the autopilot program. You're choosing to be the conscious creator of your life, right? So if you do nothing but start to become aware of the stories you're telling yourself, like, that is a win, right? And as you start to become aware, like, that awareness is going to give you that, like, it's going to empower you to then be able to change it and shift it. Like, it's going to give you that ownership to be able to be, because you're aware of it, right? And so that's step two. And then finally is just implementing the 6-step reframe process. Obviously, like I said, 1 to 4, steps 1 to 4 as much as possible. And then just 5 and 6, those steps for one thought to begin with. Okay. One self-talk, one narrative to begin with. And I just want to preface this, like, your self-talk is the most important conversation you'll ever have. And I know I've said that a few times today. Like, when I said that at the start of this masterclass, I am so sure that you weren't probably fully convinced, right? But now you know why. Your thoughts become your beliefs become your identity, and your identity becomes your reality, your entire reality. It shapes your entire reality, right? And I don't want you to just listen to this masterclass. I want you to take away what you've learned and implement and integrate it into your life, because that is the work. That is what will change your life. You need to take the action. You can't create results by doing the same thing. You can't create a different result by doing the same thing. Different result requires different action, right? And if you need to, like, listen to this masterclass again to help it land even deeper. Like, let it sink in, right? Have it on in the background while you're cleaning the house. Have it on in the background while you're going for a walk or driving somewhere, right? Listen to it again if you feel like you need to. It's just like watching a movie. The first time you watch it, you're like, yeah. And then you watch it for the second time, you're like, oh yeah, I don't remember that happening. Where? Oh my God. Same as this, right? It just lands deeper. Repetition. Subconscious mind loves repetition, right? And if you have any questions about anything that I've covered in today's masterclass, send it through in our Ascend app community chat. Send it in the Q&A channel, right? Drop your questions and I'll be jumping in there with the answers, right? And also share your wins. Share your wins in the channel so we can all celebrate the heck out of you, because again, this is the work that can shift your entire life. And if you haven't already dived into the other education or the Mindset Method Hack series inside the app, do yourself a favor and do it. Because if you found this valuable, you will also get so much value from that. And that is a little bit more digestible and a little bit more bite-sized. And obviously all of the rest of the masterclasses inside the app, the educational videos and educational resources such as guides and ebooks. And like there's going to be even more masterclasses to come. And obviously as well today, like, by the way, we're almost there. um, Today has been one topic, like self-talk. Obviously, I've expanded on concepts and like the science behind it so you can really understand the why, because that's also going to drive you to understanding, how important this is so you can really start to shift it. Because if you don't know why you're going to do something and what it's going to give you, you're not going to do it, right? So it's really important to, I think, have that education. But today has just been one topic, self-talk. Like there is a million more things that we can go into in terms of like subconscious programming and how our limiting beliefs were also, like, a large chunk of our limiting beliefs were created from the ages of 0 to 7, and traumas that we went through and past experiences, and also like negative emotions and the way that we show up, and rewiring like habits and like our nervous system. Like it is all like there's so many different concepts and topics off that really expand off the back of this, but this has just been one today. So really just let it land. Like I said, listen to it a second time if you need to. And I really want to leave you with this. Like, you are not stuck. You are not stuck. You are just repeating stories and patterns that feel familiar, right? And the moment that you begin to shift the way you speak to yourself, you begin to shift the way you show up, the way you feel, and the results you create in your life, right? And this isn't about fixing yourself because you're not broken. It's also not about trying to become a new version of you overnight. Like, this is about becoming aware of what is already running and then starting to consciously choose different, right? Becoming the conscious creator of your life, co-creating a life with the universe that you desire to live. And like when you do that, when you consciously choose differently consistently, like that's how you rewire your brain and your nervous system to feel safe and have the capacity to hold the life that you say you want, and to be able to step forwards into your highest timeline, into your dream life that you once never thought possible. It is possible, and all starts with the words that you speak in your mind, the language that you use, the words you speak out loud to yourself in conversations. And I hope today has really given you that education and empowerment to really shift your self-talk. And now, because this is such an important conversation, and like I genuinely know the impact that this conversation we've had today can have on women's lives. Like, as I mentioned, for those that aren't already Ascend app members and are listening to this from my email list, this is free for 7 days only. After that, it gets taken down and is only accessible and locked up inside Ascend app. And I don't usually do this, but again, I know the impact it can create. And I know from working with hundreds and hundreds of women over the last literally, let's say in 10 days time, 9 days time will be a decade in the industry, like in this space of holding space for women. Women need to hear this conversation. And that is why I decided to give it free for a limited time to everyone, and not just my Ascend app members. So I am giving you full permission to share this link and this masterclass with someone in your life that you know could benefit from it before the 7 days free access expires. Let them know you've only got until this date before it expires, so they can go and watch it too. And that someone who's going to benefit is probably, make a freaking group chat if you need to. Send it to all your besties or to your family or whoever needs to hear it. I give you full permission to share it. And if this masterclass landed for you today and you found it insightful and valuable, you will absolutely be the perfect fit for Ascend app. And as I mentioned, Ascend app is a mindset, self-development, and holistic health membership for the woman ready to feel her best physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It was previously called the SK Bodyworks app, but earlier this year I did a full rebrand, and it is Ascend app, helping you ascend in mind, body, breath, and soul. And it is essentially an all-in-one wellness app that is literally a portal into your next evolution. Like it is designed to help you step into the highest, happiest, and healthiest version of you, right? And like from so many different aspects, like the value inside Ascend is like in fucking sane. And I'm not just biased. The members inside are also saying that. And like there is no other app on the market like this. Like I created this app because there was a gap in the market. Like there is nowhere that has the minds, like the holistic capacity that's inside Ascend. There is nothing else like it, and not for the price and value that is inside Ascend, right? Inside Ascend, you'll find like a large library of educational videos, masterclasses, educational resources, guides, guest expert sessions centered around things like mindset, self-development topics, nutrition, holistic health, and so much more. Like there's weight loss stuff in there. It's a manifestation seminar. There's so much value in there. There's also guided meditations, breath work with more breath work flows to come, hypnosis tracks, pep talks, visualizations. There's community. There's also fitness programs and follow along workouts for both home and gym. There's yoga flows. There's also recipes. There's 100 plus easy, healthy, and tasty recipes that the whole family will love. There's like so much more. Like there's a macro calculator. Like I could literally go on for days. There's a habit tracker. There's soon, what's coming soon, there's a menstrual cycle tracker coming. Group psychic healings. I'm planning one for April, May, possibly May, around, I'm thinking it's going to be around money and abundance, clearing the blocks that are blocking you from that energetically. There's even a psychic Q&A portal, like a channel where you, inside the app, where you drop a question and let spirit answer it. I tune in and literally give you a mini reading. Like there is nowhere where you have like a fitness, nutrition, a weight loss coach, an ex-chef, a mindset coach, NLP practitioner, hypnosis, matrix therapies, psychic, triple certified psychic, healer. Like there is nowhere, and also soon to be, like literally a month and a half away, a breathwork practitioner. There is no one that I know of that has this experience and this expertise and holding space for women for 10 years, right? If you're like, fuck yes, this is right up my alley, I would love to have you inside Ascend app. And like, it is not a cost. It is an investment into the future you. And it's literally less than, like, it is so affordable. It's literally less than the price of 2 takeaway coffees a week. Less than the price of 2 takeaway coffees a week. It's nothing locked in. So if you decided it wasn't for you, or, you know, circumstances change or whatever, like you can cancel at any time. And if you join before the 16th of April and use the discount code ASCEND50, you get 50% off your first month. So if you're like, yes, I'm going to put that in my basket, head to the link in my social media bio. You can find me on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at SK Bodyworks. And the link to join Ascend will be in my bio, or you can head straight to my website to find out more and sign up, which is just www.skbodyworks.com.au, and you can just go straight to the Ascend app tab and click sign up. Or if you're already in Ascend app or not, and you're ready to like take this work even deeper again, like you can reach out to me directly to find out more about psychic coaching or mindset coaching, which is essentially mindset method, which is my one-on-one sacred coaching container for deep life and mindset shifts. And the psychic coaching is essentially an evolution of mindset method, which is one-on-one mindset coaching, where I blend mindset coaching with my psychic work together into a container, which makes for a insanely transformative, potent, powerful container that has created deep shifts and transformation in the women's lives that I've been working with. So if you're interested, reach out to me directly on socials and you can find out more, and we can schedule in a time to chat further. And the very last thing that I am going to leave you with is this. And actually, before I do, I completely forgot to say this during the call, but before I jumped on this masterclass, my self talk, like what I was doing, I was literally jumping up and down, dancing around, speaking positive affirmations. Initially in my head, I was like, fuck, I'm the only one here. I'm the only one home. I'm going to do it out loud. Do it like speaking that, jumping up and around. I had a smile on my face. I was like, put my hands on my hips, standing up nice and tall. Like our physiology controls our psychology. Like I was embodying everything that I teach in a masterclass today. And I was like, I said to me before I clicked record, I said to myself, this is going to be the best masterclass I've ever fucking delivered. And honestly, I think I nailed it. So let that be evidence. Let that be proof, right? And this is the very last thing that I am going to leave you with. Old ways won't open new doors. So, who are you choosing to be today? Because today, who you are today will decide your tomorrow. And you need to be the version of you to become the version of you. I always say this, be to become. And I believe in you. You are not alone in this. And I just want you to know how proud I am of you. And I'm truly, truly so grateful that you took the time out for yourself today to listen to this and now use it to go change your life. And send me a DM. I want to hear your wins. Send it, drop it in the Ascend app community chat. And that concludes today's masterclass. From my heart to yours, I am sending you so much love and so much gratitude. Bye, beautiful soul.